Everybody's good for Right now, 3 builds and 2 dogs. Yes. I know.
You know what? Did you? I did not. It was like actually run it by everybody. Actually, I thought it was so good. I don't know if you can remind myself or ask you if she would do this. I mean,
I think they broke his legs and reset them. Were you like, he was like, but they still do.
I didn't think it would be a whole.
Well, restaurants are.
I would have for months. That was cool.
This right here, because it's usually just a couple of which is what we want the buildings
I don't like it.
We don't have
I look at Kyle and I have to look like this.
I don't know how
Get some dirt under your nails. That's it.
I think I was feeling cold.
I mean, my arms is all.
Yeah.
I have
Did you know that he
two
did?
jackets.
Hey.
Got my last night jacket.
She did. I like
And he's still a big kid. Yeah, he's gonna have to walk like this.
Well, he leaves station right there.
And I think that she's ordering all of their relatives.
Do I have to? Because this is possible. Maybe I should do my homework.
The last couple of years.
Hey, everybody, we're going to reconvene here and
I think.
we're going to reconvene at 6:12.
Yeah.
As soon as I hit 6:12. You already pushed the button. Okay. Okay, we are back from executive session. Thank you, everybody. We're going to move on to our regular school board meeting now with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item number 2 is our proposed meal price increases, and Debbie Updike is going to give us an update on that.
I'm gonna go ahead and step in for her.
Okay.
She doesn't like to speak in front of any crowd.
Pat's voice is a little messed up. so
Sorry.
Can't hear him very good.
So what has happened is the state put down and calculated the minimum prices for adults. It's went up. I know it's went up in several other schools, districts around. It's for the fiscal year of 2024, 25, for the school year. The breakfast has a 7% increase from 285 up from 265. The adult lunch is 495, an increase from 470, so 5.5% increase. And then you'll look at the adult lunch there. We just went through the extra milk is 60 cents rather than 50 cents. Students 260, 285, 265 to 285 for adult breakfast, and then again the 60 cents for milk. And this is deemed by the state for the adults, and the students weren't up to that level, but we're still way below what we should be charging. So we're slowly trying to get up to that point where the state wants to see us at.
Are we in compliance with the state? Or?
Yes.
Okay.
This will put us in everything in compliance, yes.
Okay. Any discussion on that, guys? Gals?
No, I'm good.
Okay, thank you, Pat.
Yes.
Okay, next is public input and comment. Janelle, do we have any comments? Public input?
Does anyone have any comments on the price increases?
Oh, is that for this?
That's just for the lunch.
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. So any public input or comment on this price increase for food? Looks like no. Okay, and now we're supposed to go to the discussion. No discussion.
No discussion.
Okay. Okay. So now I guess we're going to the regular school board meeting. And we're going to move on to the consent agenda, which, the way I understand it, we can just make a motion.
Did you get the May 4th?
I did. Yeah. So if there's any motions regarding the consent agenda,
Before a motion, I just want to change the spelling on one of the minutes, April 27th, change the spelling of rescind.
To rescind,
Rescind, I guess, yeah.
yeah, rescind.
Clerk knows what I'm at now.
Yeah.
But
yeah, and I guess if we're going to talk about that, so there was a question regarding our May 4th meeting that came up. When we were trying to be specific on what we were looking for the new hire for principal / superintendent, and I believe it went out originally incorrectly, right, Ken? And Ken spoke with our HR person and got it corrected. So the new, however it's gone out, have you seen the corrected version?
Yeah, I'm signed up to receive the announcements when they're posted, and it said that this morning I looked, there was superintendent, principal, superintendent /
Because when we were at that May 4th meeting, I think we were pretty clear that we wanted to have all three categories. And there was only one category went out. Okay. So that was in the May 4th minutes as well. I did check that. That is the way it was written in the minutes. Okay.
With the option to possibly be principal / superintendent.
Right. Okay.
And then there was the activities directors instead of athletic director.
Yeah, it was just a typo, right?
I don't know. What was the question?
So in the minutes for that, it said
Activities.
activities director, not athletic director. So it should be for athletic director, right? So with those corrections, I have a motion.
yeah, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the corrections we talked about.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye. Okay, on to delegations and, ooh, hang on a second here. Slow down. How about treasurer's report? I'm not the treasurer. Treasurer's report?
This is all part of the consent agenda.
Oh,
Is it
Stuff
from
that was
me or
presented
from-
by-
Sorry, guys, I'm new at this. Okay, we just
You're great.
approved all
Yes,
that
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
What was presented by?
Okay, so, okay, I guess, so we don't have to say that. Okay, delegations and reports. Superintendent report, Mr. Dow.
Not much happened at the end of the school year. Getting done with all the finals. Graduation this weekend on Saturday. We'd like everybody to show up if you would. Come and rejoice in the last day that these seniors have at Garden Valley and go off in that big wall. But other than that, looking to getting rid of all the contracts, and everything done up for approval for next month, so.
Okay.
what time is the graduation?
Super.
What was the question?
What time's graduation?
Oh. Okay, let's move on to principal's report with Dr. Lynch and Ms. Ogle.
There are 3 items for just information. First one is the course descriptions will be completed for the next board meeting. Moving along with ISATs, we are compiling those scores right now. We have received some complete scores. We're still compiling all of it. We're trying to do like for like, so we're trying to track students that have been at the school for a long time, so we're trying to make sure that the data is really accurate. But the one class right now that we receive information that is noteworthy is 3rd grade. They performed at a really, really high level. We were able to go in today and just give them a little root beer votes, but that 3rd grade just really did outstanding. So the credit goes to that 3rd grade class as well as Ms. Brahms, who did an outstanding job. Ms. Ogle, in the absence of a school counselor, she is nearly complete with the registering students from 6 through 12 for next year. And she has done an outstanding job of doing that. So she is nearly, I believe that she's got maybe 1 or less than 10 students that complete for this week. And then she is done with scheduling students for the 24-25 school year. So once again, she really deserves a lot of recognition and credit for that as well. And then the last item is this incident report. To date, we average about 3.5 incidents per day, which is dramatically down almost 50% from last year. So testimony to the staff and to the faculty, their classroom management is much better. The one item that we wanted to address with regards to a student group, it was that freshman group which had a high number. We were able to extract the information. There are 2 students who occupy about 40% of that number. So when you pull that out, then it really is much lower compared to the other grades, but it was based upon 2 students who have occupied about close to 40, 45 incidents. So that's the reason for that. Are there questions that I can answer for you on any of the 4 topics or areas?
Not me.
Thank you.
Okay, Loman facility report, Mr. Kevin Hennessy.
So I just handed out the expenses for loan for this school year. So this year, the building was stripped. When it was stripped, it was found that when it was painted previously, it wasn't actually sealed before it was painted. So it was resealed, repainted. When we started the work for the RV pad, they established the septic tank for the actual school building was failing, and we needed to replace the septic tank, so we put in a new 1,000-gallon septic tank for the school building. The RV pad included a separate electrical pedestal to allow separate metering from the school building. Additional water line works and then a septic for the RV pad. Because of the 2 septic tanks and the size of those septic tanks, the current grey water drainage field was deemed inadequate, so we had to put in new drainage fields to support both the new septic tanks. On my summer list between this school building and Lowman, there are about 68 items on my list. The big ones for Lowman, the replacement of lights to energy efficient lighting, repair work to the sprinkler system. Some of that was damaged when they put in the RV pad. Repair frost-free hydrant. We have a replacement right here, so we can get that done over summer. One of the larger things, I have a quote into Agent Supply about putting in a camera system at the Lowman School for internal and external cameras, because we currently didn't have any security surveillance equipment in Lowman School. And then leveling off groundwork when they did the RV pad. The groundwork wasn't finished off. Terry Tucker is due to go back up and complete that groundwork and just get everything leveled and squared away. That's pretty much it. Any questions?
Okay, in addition to this, we're still gonna do the roof, right? That was part of our original intent on this whole thing.
Was that approved, Bob?
Yes,
We've approved before.
that was approved last
It was
April,
when Randy was.
like a year and a half,
Yeah.
over a year ago.
I couldn't find a motion that mentioned,
Really?
it was just a different amount to water, sewer, and electric.
Okay, well, I believe the intent was to do that, so if we got to reconvene as a board, because you can't have an RV up there over the winter without a shed roof on that thing. I mean, it's just gonna get tore up.
Yeah, we can reconvene and
Okay,
discuss that. Get that in the budget next year, next fiscal year.
yeah, I will. I'll get some more information on that too. Okay. Okay, but these are all good things to get done up there. It looks good.
Any other questions?
Okay. Title II, Americans with Disabilities Act, Web Content Accessibility. Kevin again.
So this is basically just to give you some information. There was a change to the Title II law, the ADA, back in April 24th of this year, which requires all website content for school websites, the functionality to be read by a screen reader.
They just did this last month?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. It's going to require retraining of our staff, because it means that documents have to be created and compiled in a certain fashion. One of the documents that is probably a good example is our school calendar that's currently on our website. When that's tried to be read by a screen reader, one of the things, obviously, it's color coded, and the screen reader doesn't understand. It reads from left to right. So it goes through the first top month, dates, then it jumps, it goes to the next month, it doesn't. So everything needs to be rethought and redesigned and re-put on our website. So what I'd like to do is create a group of people that will publish to the website, and have those people trained in how to create that documentation in a way that a screen reader can read it. And then everything will funnel through that user group, and then they can create it and make sure that it falls within the Title II ADA compliance. It's going to be a lot of work.
Is this recommendation or is it law or
No,
is it?
the Title II ADA is law. It's federal law. We have to comply.
So
Do they-
this is for a blind person?
Correct.
So that way the computer can read it to them?
Correct.
Okay.
Do they have kind of like a template that we can use to work off of? They don't, but they're mandating it and they're saying you figure it out on your own?
Basically, yes. Luckily, OCR have offered to provide training to our staff.
Okay.
They're very knowledgeable on the whole aspect of EDA. And Anne McNally and myself, we've been talking with them to make sure that our website is fully in compliance. And in our last meeting, they actually offered free training to the user group that will be producing those documents, and specific individuals such as Debbie, who produces the lunch menu. That was another one that it read it strange because of how it was formatted. So they've actually offered to do the training for free.
Okay, are we gonna utilize that?
We are.
Okay, awesome.
So can we publish two different versions? One that can be read by the reader and then the other that might be in the like calendar type version?
We can, yes, as long as a version of the document is formatted for a screen reader, we're fine. And there's also certain things, I can't remember off the top of my head right now, there's certain documents that don't apply.
Why don't we just do that, since we have zero buy-in students that I'm aware of, unless we, get one? Why don't we just have our website, and then anything that's not working, you go in and just make a secondary one, instead of training everybody else to create that?
Well, it would also be for new documents, like the board agendas, for example. Anything that gets published to that website moving forward has to be in the format for a screen reader.
But we don't do that many a year, right? Lunch, what goes on the website in a year?
School board agendas,
Lunch menu?
notifications, news articles,
But most of those would be readable, right?
not unless they're created in the correct fashion. Like the website itself doesn't create it in a screen reader friendly way.
Do we have to have a website?
Do we have to have one?
Yes.
That's good.
But can we just add, like, I'm just trying to visualize it. So if a screen reader can't read a calendar, but if we have a longhand version after that says days where there's no school in session, and then we list, just typed out, May whatever.
Correct, yeah.
26,
Just
yeah,
create this,
10 would be
and
the,
then
so we just have that list, and then now we've still got a form that all the rest of us can see and go, okay, that makes sense to my eye. And then we've got something at the bottom of that here's all the days that can be read.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
that's just an easy fix.
Yeah, it would be. I mean, the discussions we've had, for example, about moving sporting events and things to the website. That
So it's all got to be,
would have a
if it
huge.
goes on our website, it's got to be in that format.
Correct.
Yeah, so by law, we have to have a website.
Correct.
But by law, we don't have to put our sports events on the website.
Correct.
So it just sounds like that's not the best format for us to do our sporting events. We just continue to use Facebook or whatever we use to let parents know there's no practice or whatever those.
Correct.
Okay, that seems like an easy
But
fix.
I don't think there is a Facebook page.
There isn't.
There's not a school Facebook page yet, but I know that there's
Well,
all
there
these
was.
individual ones.
There was, but it's no longer up for some reason.
Yeah, there's a bunch of individual ones, so all the sports have. their own.
Excuse me, Eric. We're supposed to be discussing this with
Sorry.
Mr. Hennessy,
Oh,
just letting you know.
Anyway.
Sorry.
Make good points.
So there are ones that are like middle school baseball, there's no practice today.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
Frank lets us know, yeah,
Yeah.
we don't have to post that on the website.
No,
Because if we
absolutely.
post it on the website, then he has to have training to know how to
How to
do
post
it.
it correctly.
Okay,
Correct.
so I think let's just make our website bare bones of what we need to have on there. And then make sure that it's in compliance, which you do without having to do a ton of training to teach everybody how to do it.
Correct.
Okay. That sounds good to you guys?
You want to make a motion on anything here?
I guess I still have some questions on it. I mean, the website's one thing. There's been some ideas thrown around about doing a Facebook page through the school or community members have been talking about possibly doing their own. If we do like a school Facebook page, would it have all the same requirements?
No.
No.
No. No, unless something from that Facebook page is shared to the website.
Okay. I guess the kind of things that we've talked about putting on Facebook were like the end of summer concert, like streaming that because a lot of folks weren't able to come to that, or like the National Honor Society when they did their thing last week, or maybe
We just pass the letter.
Yeah, just all that kind of information. So we're not opening like a huge can of worms if we.
No, Facebook has their own rules and regulations. It's
Okay.
just specifically our website.
Kevin, every hyperlink you put on there, does that website have to be compliant also?
No.
Because what I'm thinking is like
third-party
Max
vendors-
Preps, right?
Third-party vendors do.
So like Max Preps where you'd put in your basketball schedules and all this, because they usually tally it, see what I know.
No, that does not.
So we can just put that in and say, see the schedule here and hyperlink to Max Preps.
Correct.
And that way we wouldn't be held
Correct.
reliable for that.
Yeah,
So
anything
even if we wanted a
call-
lunch calendar, we could put a lunch calendar on a third party
Correct.
and hyperlink to it.
Yeah, let's fix it that way. Then we don't even have to make a motion, right?
No.
Okay.
It was just to give you information.
Thanks, Kevin.
That,
Thank you.
Oh, I totally forgot about this.
Oh, we can
So-
table.
Yeah. Okay, next up on our agenda was reorganization. Is anybody ready to discuss this tonight?
I'm
I
not,
totally forgot about it, guys. I apologize.
I'm okay with tabling it.
We should table it.
All right, we're gonna table it till our,
That's fine with me.
I think we have one more month
Yeah,
that we can table it, or not have to reorganize. But we have 4 months to be able to.
They
do it.
changed that. Because most of them go into December.
Oh, for the reorg?
For the annual meeting.
Yeah.
Organization. But if you're already gonna come in, you're gonna approve the budget that Gabe has right there and everything else. You know, you can do it during that meeting also, because that's where you're gonna approve the budget.
Yeah, we're just talking about because Kylie resigned from the
Sure.
chair position, so we were gonna reset.
Yeah, absolutely, you can take a look.
wait on it a little bit.
All right, let's table this till our next regular scheduled meeting.
Policies have 3 readings, I think you can table it up to 3 times.
Yep.
Sure. Neither anymore. Thank you. Okay, so now we have public comment. Public comment will be taken from the public on matters scheduled on the agenda. The chairman may interrupt or terminate the individual's statement when it is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, repetitive, or irrelevant. A person wishing to speak on the agenda item should fill out a request to appear before the board, Form 4105F, and submit it to the board clerk before the meeting begins. These forms will be available at the sign-in desk and can be found on gbsd.net policy 4105F. I do have one here from Ronnie Gilbertson, and it's regarding the Loman RV pad. And you have 3 minutes, Ronnie.
Have some pictures for you?
Restart.
Is this weird? Messaging.
That's okay. I did not include a picture of the RV pad. The last one. Good morning, or good evening, members of the school board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Ronnie Gilbertson. I am the Loman school teacher. I emailed the clerk of the board to speak about the Loman RV sheltering pad. Through miscommunication or intentional misconstruction, the school administration did not honor the request. I will briefly explain the current situation. The facilities director has not completed the project as directed by the board. As of this meeting, there has been no progress on the project since last winter. At this time, all improvements, repairs, and even basic maintenance of the Loman grounds has not been completed unless I personally perform the task or force the administration to. There's a repeated pattern of not completing work, cost overruns, and intentional negligence. Because of the mismanagement, the last project completed by the administration was the exorbitant $35,000 septic project, which was installed during the last week of November, which resulted in extensive damage to property. To restore the Loman, there was a need for topsoil, filled dirt, fixing the cut sprinkler system, extensive removal of rocks, and reseeding of the field, none of which has been completed or even scheduled to the best of my knowledge after repeated continued requests. Choosing the right manager for the job is key to preventing cost overruns and overwhelming project failures. To address these issues, I am requesting that the school board consider the following. 1, the Loman RV shelter and cement pad needs to be reassigned to a board member or a Loman community member that is vested in the success of the Loman Elementary. 2, a budget needs to be determined for an RV shelter and cement pad, including utilities with a completion date of August 1 for the safety of the students and weather restrictions. Additionally, the project needs a request for proposal to ensure a competitive bidding process. 3, due to the extraordinary events of this last year, resulting in the turnover of administration and a toxic workplace, I would encourage the board to outsource human resources. This will help with the challenges of the next year, specifically performance management, evaluations, recruitment, onboarding, and legal compliance. These topics must be addressed as the current HR representative has a serious conflict of interest while being married to administration. 4, while I hope to remain in Loman until retirement, this RV pad is crucial for the drawing potential candidates to fill the future teaching vacancies at Loman. I trust the board and the community to share my concerns about this project and the implications for the Loman community for the future. 5, most importantly, in order to avoid repeated failures from the previous year, I'm requesting a decision from the board regarding the Loman property by May 30th, which is the last day of the school year. I urge you to consider this request and amend the agenda or schedule an executive session to openly discuss these concerns. Together, we can ensure this project is completed efficiently and effectively, benefiting the entire school district. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I have a bunch.
Shoot.
Just the very last sentence was have an executive session to talk about these things. Why would we do it in executive session?
I am free to open comments. I just understand that usually that's where a lot of pertinent information and emails are shared instead of out in public information.
Okay, so thanks, Ronnie. So we can discuss this up here a little bit, but I appreciate your input. We're not supposed to really dialogue back and forth, so, but Eric wasn't here and Ken wasn't here. I think Clay was here for part of this. What had happened last fall, the project was approved last April. We just kind of thought everything was a go, and then at the last minute, calls got made and we found out that this project wasn't moving forward. So myself, another board member, Clay got involved, I think Ken got involved. We had a bunch of people from the community kind of got involved and we got it done, but it was at the 11th hour. And Ronnie's not kidding, I was up there was I in January or December? The ground was
End of December.
frozen solid. We'd finally be able to put a propane tank in for her because she couldn't get her RV in place, basically. So,
Caleb was digging it, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So what we really need to work on this year is this needs to be completed in the summertime, right? It's got to be 100% done. It's got to be livable. And the reason we did this originally was we knew it was going to be hard to attract teachers up in Loman. We wanted to provide a space that if they had this, and this was well before Ronnie was up there when we approved this, it was to provide a spot for a teacher up in Loman, basically, because we knew it was going to be a hard spot to fill. So I still think as a board, we need to get this directed through and get this finished properly. And we should do competitive bids. I mean, that should be, isn't that part of the
Anything over 50,000.
over 50,000? Okay. Okay, that makes sense, I guess.
It's still probably a good idea, though.
We should
Yeah.
probably at least
It
get a
is,
couple bids.
especially with public funds. I would go at least 3 bids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna do it and build an overhead, you might as well put 1 pad in there and just make it all the same, cement pad and an overhead.
Yeah,
Longevity stays.
we had some discussion about the cement pad or you could do a compacted,
Well, if you remember when I brought it up, it was gonna be over 2 fiscals,
right?
the last fiscal and this fiscal. And so,
And it's not like we're having to raise extra money for this. Loman pays for itself. This is coming out of the Loman funds essentially for it. So we got to get this done anyways. So we will discuss this more and we'll have some motions to follow, I'm sure, but
Can I ask you a
But
question?
do we have
Yeah.
to discuss it by May 30th, like by next week?
no, we just got to make sure this gets done. It'll get done.
But you're asking,
I'm just asking so that I know what my future holds and the fact that, it's been a past track record of not completing what was supposed to be done. And so basically, I will not live out there during the winter without an RV cover. And good luck finding a certified teacher to teach up there, because that was the problem that we had when they accepted me in August.
I was just trying to remember, because I can't remember everything, but we had plans of different structures at one point. I don't recall where we ended.
So,
Did we ever decide on what? I just don't remember.
well, Mr. Morgan had brought that up. He had a bunch of steel building plans and everything like that originally, and we were in that discussion at that time as to whether we wanted to go with a full-blown pad and this big steel building. And so we do have on our, we still got to go back in executive session. So we have on our thing for personnel. We can discuss this a little bit more. Maybe we can ask Mr. Morris or Mr. Morgan to come in and refresh our memories on
Yeah,
that, because
Great. Yeah. I just couldn't remember where we actually got to. I thought this was way further than the structures.
Well, it was my impression that the whole thing was before I got here.
It was started before you got here.
Right, and
Yes.
then when I took over, it was gonna be, we were gonna do the septic, the electrical,
pad.
and have a pad there, right there, not
Yeah.
just some hard pan. To get it done for this side, and then we'll do cement and everything else on over two Fiscals.
right, that was what we broke it up into. We just
Correct.
didn't finalize, I think, on what kind of roof we were going to put on it.
Right,
We just need a motion to go further than this, 'cause the motion that was originally sent was a pad, and then electric, sewer, and water.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
that first step, so
So that was done.
No.
I don't know
Well,
the
it's-
status.
There's some finished work to be done. It was really late in the year. I mean, everybody was scrambling to get this buttoned up. And you can see from the pictures that it never got finished. And
It
it was.
isn't. And there's lots of problems. I know Clay can speak to this. The septic, if you look at one of those pictures, you can see a hose going in there. I've incurred lots of expenses being up there, including a macerator pump, because I can't pump directly into that clean out. It is actually 30 feet away from the electrical, which Clay knows. How close is your septic at your
Not closer
RV
than
park? It's right there. Every RV park that I've ever been at, it is your electrical, it is your water, and it is your septic. And I've had to pay for a 50-foot heated hose over the winter just to have running water, because it's not right. And if you look at the rocks around there, like I said, it's been hard. It's been really difficult due to the failure of this project.
Well, I can assure you, Ronnie, that this project was important to the board at the time, and it still is. And it's important to the people of Lowman that we have a teacher up there. And we want to get this done. So we'll put a task person on this probably.
It would be great, especially somebody that knows how RFPs work or how to even ask for it. Because that's been the confusion, is everybody in the Logan committee is like, what is this RVB do there? And then they got to know me, and I have great support from Logan and stuff, but they're still kind of when they saw that, their field was being dug up, over Thanksgiving. I had no notice of that. I come home from New York City, and I'm like, what is this? And as you can see, it's still torn up. I've got the fire department showing up there tomorrow, and stuff to do fire protection with kids. And
Yeah.
here we sit, and I don't know what to tell them. And that's why I guess I'm saying, if you could please get an answer by May 30th. I'm not trying to force your hand, but what I don't want to see is what happened last year, which is it didn't get done.
And you can provide us with a detailed list, because I don't want to let it go off course and miss things. Can you provide, I know you went over some things, but can
Yeah,
you
can
provide
you
us
email us that?
a
as
bullet
well as-
pointed list of everything that's not done, hasn't been done, that's done wrong, just so we don't miss anything, picking this back up?
Definitely.
Okay.
I'm more than happy to, and like I said, any communication that I've had via emails
Okay.
with either Pat Goff or Kevin Hennessy, I am more than happy to provide that.
Can you email all of us that bullet pointed list? Just take your time and go over it.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Pretty much the thing you just read.
Yeah.
Just email it to us as well, so we don't.
Oh, there's more.
Yeah.
There's more that was promised to the Loman community at the last levy that hasn't been completed. You know, like the lights have been on there, and there is a whole list that was left by Dave Bohandy of things that should have been completed at Loman that were not completed.
Just put
Okay,
it all in an email, shoot it over. Is that okay?
Sounds wonderful.
okay. Thanks, Ronnie.
Thanks.
Hey, Kevin, I got a follow-up question on this. You said that one of our contractors is going to come back
Terry Tucker.
to finish that up. Is that cost included in the last year's thing, or is this over and above?
Is that something?
Is the cost of this over and above last
No,
year's?
it's part
It's part of it, okay. Thank you.
That's my question too. When we have projects like this,
They should be bid for completion, right? You're bidding
yeah,
project to
and how do we advertise it? Like, is it just go out and negotiate something?
Wanna
Like,
ask
do we
Kevin?
have kind of a contract? Is there like a statement of work saying, this is what we want completed, this is the size of it, here's the quantities, we're gonna pay you by. I mean, is there something that has deadlines for when it has to be done, or how it's supposed to be done?
for the loan, for this loan one.
No, how do we put
We're
this
just
out to
Terry
bid?
Tucker did it's like $35,000 of work. It's not done right, apparently, right?
It's not finished yet.
It's not completed.
It's not completely correct.
And so how did he get the job versus were there two or three other positions?
Terry's always on our sewer loan.
Okay, so we just went to the person who normally do it. Okay.
So I think what Kevin was, or, my God, too many names here. Ken was asking is, do we have a formatted procedure to put out bids?
Yes.
Or do we just pick up the phone and call somebody?
No, there is a procedure for putting out bids, depending on the.
The
amount.
size of it, right? Yeah, okay.
It's like the shelter, say, like, we write up what size the shelter is, kind of give them an idea what it's gonna look like, how much snow load, I mean, obviously.
So this one was slightly different, because obviously the bid was for
It's like,
pad and septic for an RV. But when they started digging, they found that the septic for the school
Yeah.
was inadequate.
Yeah.
So then the price obviously skyrocketed because we had to get a second septic tank. And that's, the size of that septic tank was dictated by the state.
Yeah.
And it had to be 1,000 gallon tank.
Right.
That's why the price increased. So
it looks like they probably had to increase the drain field too.
Oh, I'm sure. Like, I see how those projects, like, whenever you're doing a retrofit, you start doing some electrical work, and then you find another part that doesn't meet code, like, one thing leads to another. But I was just curious, like, in general, how we get the quotes, how we specify exactly what we need, if there's any warranty associated with it, all that kind of stuff.
Good question.
I'd like to speak to the septic tank. There was a lot of frustration in the fact that there was never a site mount done and they didn't know where they were going with it. It was the end of November. They knew that the tank had failed and that the drain field had failed. So it needed to be replaced. My understanding was, according to Terry Tucker, is that it should have been done 2 or 3 years ago, and the price doubled because of the fact of COVID and supply issues and just the cost of doing business.
Yep.
So.
Sounds familiar. All right, thanks, Ronnie.
Thanks, Ronnie.
Okay, on to number 9, action items for new business. Okay, we already did this one, right?
Do a motion to approve it.
Oh, okay, so under new business, proposed meal price increases from WIK that Pat did for us. You guys have any more discussion on that? Any motions? We have to approve it.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed meal price increase.
Okay, I have a motion.
I'll second.
And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next thing up, Bundy wanted this table, I think.
Yeah, this is gonna be pushed off. She decided to hold off since we're in dire need of parapros and semester help for next year.
Yeah.
So we're gonna push this to next year. I'm gonna take 4 out of the 5 years.
Okay, so this next item, Bundy had emailed and said that we're not quite prepared to go on to this project yet, so we're gonna table this one. Okay, next up is higher elementary teacher, an athletic director, and transportation transportation director, and a parapro. Do I have a motion for that? I guess it's based
Who are
on
we hiring?
recommendations.
Yeah.
The recommendations from the board.
They're
packet,
in
I
the,
think.
they were in the board packet.
I don't remember.
I don't think we have it here, do we? Unless we-
I can read off the names. That would be helpful.
Are we allowed to do?
Yeah. You're the hiring.
Second. I don't have a lawyer here with me.
So it would be nice to, like, I know there was a committee for these folks. It'd be nice to get a representative from that committee to kind of explain what the process was, how they came up with this person, what they had to offer.
I would
that
think
kind of
it's
stuff.
Steve.
I think
Steve
Michelle
be
was
the
on
person?
one.
I checked out, I did the athletic director, transportation director, because it was his term.
Okay.
And so it was a person that we currently have as our history government teacher to try to keep him, maintain his position here.
But what Ken was asking is,
Yeah, I
like,
don't
wouldn't
know.
Steve be speaking
He's
to
the
the
one
other
that would,
ones?
yeah, because he'd be in charge of the hiring committee. I have no idea on the others.
Okay.
I don't even know how to apply.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I feel we're kind of blind on a lot of this stuff where we're just asked to approve it. And it's their recommendations.
I mean, I saw their resumes and stuff.
Yeah, I saw his resume too. He had a lot of coaching experience and things like that. Like, I'm not questioning whether it's a good pick or not. It's just, it'd be nice for everybody to know, like, why that person was chose, what they have to offer. that kind of information.
So Pat can speak to that a little bit for the athletic director.
Yeah. I mean, he used to be the athletic director at Boise Junior High. So his junior high wasn't a high school, but that size is probably 10 times the size of this school.
Okay.
So he's done the job before. He talked to Mike Chandler, they discussed some different stuff about the transportation and whatnot. He was fully capable of it, can do it in a heartbeat. And just like a lot of other teachers and positions here, they find it hard for a place to live because it's so expensive, but he's moving up here. And so he just wants to be able to have that a little bit more stable, and that gives him a little bit extra money for that. So
You
That would
mentioned he
change
is a teacher already.
he's already a teacher. Yeah.
How does this, I'm guessing somebody worked it out with his schedule. because-
Yeah, the only thing that's conflicting right now is world history, 7th grade. And because he wants, which it should be, is you always, as an athletic director, you always want back-to-back preps in case one flows over into the other. So you use that a prep for your
Okay.
school and then a prep for athletic director. That's when you're making calls to other athletic directors, IHSA. You're booking, rescheduling games in case of snow issues and that kind of stuff in transportation. So if you have back-to-back, at least you're not having to sit there and break your mode of thought, move on to the teach this, then go back into this, then go back to teach. So
Okay, so that's being worked on, or it's,
I think Steve is in the process. He shot Steve and I both an email, so I'm hoping that,
we're talking about athletic director, Steve?
It's a little bit, I'm hearing some of it.
Yeah, so I just asked the question that since he's a teacher, is his schedule freed up enough to be able to perform the task of
I think
athletic
that,
director?
to his point and to Superintendent Cosby, it's gonna be harder, but, right now, when we were building the schedule, we didn't know of the resignation at this point in time, so we didn't know
Right.
any one person who was gonna do this.
Okay.
With this in mind, it is gonna be a little bit disruptive. It does actually mean that quite a few shifting is gonna have to occur for the next school year. I guess with the opinion aside, this opinion is, if he does get two preps, one is dedicated solely for teaching and the other one will be dedicated for the activities portions of it. Yes, I absolutely agree that it is harder. Can it be managed? But possibly, but right now, I don't 100% know either.
Okay, so Chandler had a helper. Is that still available? Chandler had somebody helping him.
yeah, JJ helping. JJ, since then, she's moved down to Boise. So
Oh.
I don't think she's going to be able to help.
Okay,
You can usually have student helpers. I know that there's just throwing out different school districts at,
okay,
House Authority up at Cascade. He used to be the superintendent, 912 principal and athletic director. Dennis Chestnut, he was superintendent, 912 principal, athletic director. So it can be done. It's just the more experience you have, the easier it gets.
Yeah.
And then the more meetings you'll be able to talk to different people. I think he has all the experience in the world as far as the scheduling part. It's just gonna be the communication, get over that hump first to be able to communicate with the long pin, the WIC, and then the IHSA.
Okay.
Makes a lot of sense to me to have the transportation director.
Yeah.
Director, the same person.
Harlow's skills are basic, you know, the routes, but this guy will do all of the transportation for all, you know, choir, music, sports, any of this type of stuff. And I've been the athletic director. I was an athletic director for about 10 years. And it can teach a full load and still be. You gotta have your prep for your classes though, and then a prep for athletic director. You can't do it both in the same career.
Does it affect our funding at all as far as state funded positions?
No,
So he'll just be funded full-time as a teacher, and then the athletic director is just kind of.
correct. It'll be a stipend, just like a coaching stipend, except bigger, because you're running every single sport.
Okay,
Steve, process for
yeah.
the process that we did for those two.
So Steve, oops, sorry, Steve, can you speak to the elementary teacher and the parapro? You don't have to name names or anything, but we saw their names, but we don't know them. So you guys interviewed and,
I was not in part of that interview, but in speaking to the people that were on the interview committee, that they highly recommend the individual for the elementary position. And based upon the other potential hires, the idea is to shift them to where they best fit for the elementary positions. And then
Who was on the committee?
I don't know of all the names, but I know of a couple of people. I know that the VP was on there and a couple of teachers were in there and a couple of parents in there, but I'm forgetting some of the names at this point in
They
time.
provided the rubric.
so we're being asked to hire an elementary teacher, but you never spoke to this person?
I did not speak to the person. I did not have this.
You know anything about this?
I don't even know the person, so I haven't talked to anybody. But there was a committee, so.
In the packet, it lists off some.
I know the athletic director, I know the prayer person. And I talked to a
It
couple
just
other
sounds like
parents
it's a,
about
it's
their
a
professional
lead,
development.
the hiring of
Okay,
an
that's
elementary
fair.
But I
position.
don't even know.
That's fair. Michelle was involved?
Yeah.
So Michelle was involved, you said?
Correct.
VP, okay. Okay, with that in mind, is there any motions?
I mean, looking through their qualifications, they all seem very good to me. I guess it's just a matter of our process again for hiring folks and having a committee, making it fair for everybody. I'd like to know how many applicants there were, why we selected this person. I definitely feel like all of our admins should know. And I know it gets really busy here at the end of the year. I mean, everybody's trying to fit in what they can, and I hate to lose anybody. Like I say, these all seem like good candidates to me, so I'd hate to not approve and then take something else. But at the same time, I would like things to be more clear cut on what we're voting for.
Yeah, I think it's the process, right?
Just not being aware of the process? Are you wanting the
Well-
process explained?
It's kind of hard to explain, but when you're sitting here and you're asked to approve hiring somebody, you're the final say, right? Whereas in the past, I felt that there was a lot of boilerplate stuff that was just dropped to us and they said, oh yeah, you just got to approve that. And we've been kind of burned on that, so I'm a little concerned, just to say. So I think the process does need to be more solid, more clear cut, more consistent, let's say, right? Would that be fair? And I don't know if that's a policy thing. It doesn't seem like it to me. It just should be, here's how we hire, and we go down this list. And then having a board person on the hiring committees, I think is helpful, but, you know, I don't know.
Were you in the elementary hire committee?
I'm only overseeing the super principal.
Were you? Clay? I wasn't, were you?
Traditionally not, like, except for superintendent.
I guess it would, what trying to sum up what they're saying, it'd be nice to have some committee representation coming.
Yeah, like, maybe we could ask questions to some of the people of the, I mean, we gotta trust that they're doing their job, right? Okay. Good. Can I move on and come back to that one? You guys wanna think about that a little bit? Okay, I'm gonna move on to the next item. Okay, amend the school board meeting location, August 21st, 2024 for London School. We did this because of this increased price thing. We wanted to have this held here, so it didn't look like we were moving it to Lowman to not disclose anything. But the proposal is to do it August 21st, and maybe we can do kind of a get-together thing with the Lowman people up there. Maybe have our staff go up there and entertain. And didn't you say something about bringing a bus up or something?
Well, I don't want it to cost us a lot of money. Maybe it can be the white van. I think Janelle said we could, how many kids can we transport with no cost?
In the van, in the white van, I believe it's 14 plus the driver. In the minivan, it's seven and the driver.
So I really enjoyed the program the kids did the other day, and I think the people in Lowman really did too. I think it would be pretty nice to be able to take a group of kids up there and do part of that program for them. For the schoolhouse.
Great idea. Okay, so because I don't know how this works, do we have to make a motion to have that happen? Probably, right? That we're gonna take a group of kids up?
I haven't ran it by Ronnie yet, so
Just this
we
bit?
probably should get her input. Kia did say that she's willing to do it. Could find a group of kids. She said they would still remember how to do it.
Okay,
And then there's a process they'd follow for that. So they'd fill out a form, present it to the board, and then we would approve it and allow that to happen. So
Okay,
it's like a twofold thing.
okay.
Yeah.
so in light of that, with this location move, if we get a motion here, we could get that part out of the way.
Yeah, fun.
I'll make a motion to amend the school board meeting location to be in Lowman School on August 21st, 2024.
Okay, I have a motion.
I'll second.
And a second. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. I have a new policy 1313, conflicting policies and procedures. Yeah. Okay, so we're just gonna discuss this thing.
It can be first read.
Yeah.
Presented this policy.
Oh, how about I do-
Dave
Yeah, read it out loud.
How about I read our policy for you folks? Okay, policy number 1313 states this: conflicting policies and procedures. If any of the policies adopted by the Board of Trustees conflict with another, the policies adopted, revised, or reviewed most recently shall be the policy in effect. Okay, that's number one. If any procedures promulgated by the district conflict with another, the procedure adopted, revised, or reviewed most recently shall be the procedure in effect. That's number two. If any policy and procedure conflict with one another, the policy shall override the procedure. If any of you understand that, you're amazing, because it seems kind of complicated.
Newest adoption trumps everything.
Yeah. So basically, the last word spoken is the word that wins.
That's it.
So are we talking about getting rid of this policy? Is that what we want?
We're adopting.
This was adopting it, I guess, in the spirit of getting the policies tidied up. This would,
But I think it's a policy that's already common knowledge of what they do.
It's common sense, right? Common sense.
To be honest with you, it's the newest one that's been approved is always supersedes any of the older stuff. But this puts it as the letter of the law, so it actually has some bite to it.
Okay, well, we'll make this our first reading.
Good.
Okay. CTE, automotive courses. Pat Goff's going to speak a little bit to this.
So that was on the master schedule to have automotive classes starting this next fall. I know that Mr. Factor talked with Steve, I think he talked to you, talked to Michelle a little bit. They put it on the, to be registered for next fall. So we already have one period that has 10 and one period that has 13. So
Oh,
two
you've got
different
kids
periods for
already registered,
students.
okay.
Janelle, I had Janelle contact Chris, and then I cramped, and they both sanctified that everything was okay. Going back and forth. It's almost like the kids that go to the Darrell Dennis Center in Boise or CASA or one of the other career tech centers. The only problem has been was didn't really know what curriculum or what to go on, and I know I called him and talked to him, so I'm going to talk to John Lynn, who's my automotive technology person, who actually came from the Darrell Dennis Center. And I'm going to have him reach out to Ben to come up and sit down and talk with them and get him the first books. The first book's introductory, is basically going to be introductory to automotive, a lot of safety procedures.
That's excellent.
And then one of the things that I definitely want to get in here is an OSHA 10 certification.
Yeah.
So they can take the OSHA 10, they get the certification, they automatically have it to be able to take it out.
Yeah. Excellent. Steve, you want to speak to this at all? This is the automotive CTE.
Correct, and I think that this is something that's been working on for close to 15 months. This really started with the CTE of Idaho coming in and talking to us about this. This really instigated for us to send out a survey. And once again, there were about close to 60% of the students who responded that wanted to take this, or close to 75 students. We applied for a grant, and while we were denied for the grant, we still had options, secondary options to make this work. We have a really remarkable resource here in the Valley, Timberlane Auto, or Facro family, and this has always been something that the students have wanted, the families have wanted as well. So the drive was always there. This is still, the funding sources are there as well for the FTEs or the partial FTEs. And speaking and confirming what the Superintendent Bob says, there's other facilities or districts in the state that outsource this or use other facilities for these programs. So we were given that assurances, and that was just really identifying the logistics and the finances to make it work. But based upon that initial set of conversations and subsequent ones, we're ready to go. But we have great resources as well, aligning the next teacher, Mr. Factor in this case, with resources and teachers to get this going.
And I think this will layer in well with the ag.
Well, that's what I'm hoping, because the ag is the prevalent one, and that's by everybody at the state CT.
That's like our big goal, right?
That's the big goal. State CT said ag's the biggest one to go after. They can do the small engines that will feed into a capstone program that Ben could do, and that way it doesn't take him away from his job unless he wants to be here full time, right? So we can kind of work together. Plus it opens up, greenhouse, animal science, culinary, ag business. It's a wide array, plus welding, woodworking, the whole 9 yards. So,
Well, thanks to both of you guys for working this through, because it'll be our first real CTE course here, right?
Sure, and once again, to Superintendent Goff's point here, to my understanding, CT is a newer program for me, but it provides more of a bigger umbrella and captures more of what teachers can do. With this information as well, we've been talking to teachers, and there's one that is heavily looking into this, and that's Mr. McCormick. Although he's a fantastic teacher, it might pull him away from some of the sciences, but he's willing to explore that so that there's other opportunities for the students in this particular district.
Awesome.
I have a question. So thank you both for working on that. With you both leaving, who does this ball get handed to, and how do we make sure there's checks and balances and Ben's prepared to come in and do what he needs to do in the fall?
I'll throw this out there. You got my number. I do this for a living. I've been doing it 29 years. I've been vocational education, professional technical, and career technical. I've been in the business room. I've been in the technology room. I've built servers. I've done all sorts of good things. I've never done ag. But I tell you what, we have 2 ag teachers down there now because it's growing, it's blowing out, and ag's the best thing to go with. So I will work with whoever is in here next year, not a hesitation.
Yeah, I just don't want things to fall between the cracks.
I agree.
Because they will with the leadership change and especially 2 of you leaving.
Sure, and to that point as well, I am not an expert in CT, I will be the first one to
Yeah.
profess that, but there's enough resources and people that we combine know that if they need support, it's important to both of us. And then so, once again, I don't want to just leave Ben in the situation.
Yeah.
So in our conversations today, he has our full support and whatever he needs, and we'll make sure that it's given to him.
Yeah, setting people up for success, especially when we're implementing such a new big
Correct.
program, that's huge. And we want it to keep growing instead of being a failure at launch.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
Ben found out about this from his kid who signed up for his class.
Well,
You know,
yeah, see,
so
that's what I'm
he's
talking
had
about.
conversations, but he was also kind of like, we had a conversation about this today at work. And I happen to work with Kelsey, his wife, and like, there's details that he still needs to know if this is going to happen this year.
Right.
And sounds like we've got the demand, students want to do it, which is great. And we've got the know-how of how to do it, or we can find that. We've got a resource for that. The only 2 things that I think we need to cover are what he's getting paid to do it and how much commitment it is. I think we should be discussing that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But also the insurance for his facility.
Yeah.
So he can do that. You know, we know it's legal to get them back and forth, but are they covered when they're there under our policy, or how much that costing us?
Right, and that's not our job, but we can
So
approve it or not approve it, right?
Pat, since that's kind of your wheelhouse, and
Right.
that's what you do.
Yeah. So everything is
Not to
covered.
cut you
No,
out
no,
of it,
no.
but like, who should this go to? It makes sense.
Actually, if I can.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. In our meeting with Ben, that's the worst possible way to find out is not coming from the school district. That is for sure the most inappropriate way to do it. Not the way it should have come from us. Apology was issued to Ben. In terms of the numbers, we actually talked, and the business manager was there, and so we looked at the CTE industry experience and we converted that into FTE, so we were able to give them the range of that. Based upon this information as well, we are in conversations with both the IPREN and Norton as well to get that figures. So we have the basic parameters of his compensations and others as well, and he asked a lot of important and necessary questions, and we were able to give him some of the answers. Some of them we still have to do our internal conversations and research so that we can get those figures to him and then go from there. But the bottom line is that he understands the importance of this. He is on board. He's committed to this, and it's to Ben's characters because this is what the students need and this is what they want as well.
Can we have a point person?
Can you take that on?
Sure,
Communicate with Ben?
sure. Yeah, I've already talked to him, and I'll talk to him tomorrow with John Lindsay there. And
I really like it.
it's an occupational contract. You deal with the Department of CT, Christy Inger down there, she's gonna talk to also the state. I have 5 teachers right now that are on there. I have an aviation mechanic, I got FCS, I got a medical assistant, and a culinary, my chef. They never went to school, but you get occupational hours, and what you put in, 6,500 or 7,500, depending. Then you get those criteria, plus your years' experience.
Yeah.
So you can have up to 15 years' experience, or whatever, 20 years' experience in automotive, he should get credit for 20 years. And they'll reimburse that, so.
Excellent. Okay, thank you, Steve.
I still have something. I don't want to throw a wrench into things here, but,
Oh, I didn't even catch that. Gee.
no, the thing is, I'm really excited about getting CTE underway, and I think this is a great opportunity for it. But I do see some things that we need to take a look at first. And like what you guys are talking about with insurance, that's a big one to me, to make sure our students are covered, also the faculty are covered. It also makes me wonder, I totally understand the idea of going over to that shop where it's set up. He's got all of his tools, the diagnostic equipment, everything is there. But I wonder if we have to have that facility inspected for it to be used as a school
Yeah, I would guess.
place, like as far as ADA.
The insurance
or,
company
like,
probably want to do that.
yeah, or,
Like, it need to be OSHA compliant?
Yeah,
He better
or
be.
do we need to limit the number of students that can enroll in the class? We don't want to get out of hand there.
He's
How do
got-
we determine who gets in the class, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I can speak to this a little bit. When the CTE team came in, they toured our facilities, and they actually had a couple of locations that are already built in that could potentially work. One's the space out there where the modular is, where that can actually potentially work. The existing bay is there, so it would be an easier, but there's still work needs to be done. And there's a side here at the other side where they work. The CTE rep or CTE employee from the state, we actually went to Ben Shaw and they took a look at it. They said it's more than fine. Obviously, there's compliance, things that needs to happen. The insurance and liability parts would be the biggest one, but they indicated that it was more than appropriate and professional to have that setting in that. Now, one of
They give us
the, we can certainly get that, of course. And then the other part is that the one thing that they cautioned us was the number of students. We don't want to get to like 40 students and that will be really unmanageable. So really the number that we have right now is capping it at 14. A lot of that's the transportation with the white bus, 14 plus 1, so capping it at 14 maximum for the trip back.
Yeah, that seems manageable too.
Yeah, and then in talking to the perspective of the instructor, completely doable, but nothing more than that to initially start out with.
And usually, just to reiterate on that, is your first year is going to be your introductory classes. They very rarely go into any major shop like that first. You're looking at a lot of book work, a lot of the vocabulary of it. You're working on some small engines that we can put right back here. We have a couple big engines that we got from CSI that they can come in and work on those. But to go into a major shop, you're probably looking about the end of your second year or third year. Is a beginning of your second year into your third year is when you start doing. That's when you start learning. You already know the safety issues and that. You can't throw a freshman kid in there and say, hey, work on this overhead car and change the oil, right? They're gonna have to learn a little bit and stair step their way up. So
Well, and I kind of wonder, this is totally up to Ben, how he handles that. But I mean, that's his shop, how he makes his living during the week.
Right.
Like, what if he's got something partway work part in there where our kids have half of the shop tore up? Like, I just kind of wonder how all that's going to happen. And if it's just a lot of work at first and we can work into it, maybe he's just showing them the tools and what the equipment does at first. Like, not.
Well, I think you're exactly right. Go down there, have a couple field trips, so to speak, where you go in there and work on some stuff. But basically, when you're running the cohort, it'll give us maybe a year, probably a year to two. And hopefully in that amount of time, the biomass is gone, the woodwork is out of the welding area, we have ag coming in. PERT has already said they donate 5 wire feed welders back there. We can have that whole welding shop going. We can have a couple overhead lifts, at least one in that area with the big door, and maybe an alignment rack. You get stuff like that through Carl Perkins and your CT monies, and that way that'll slowly start working to build its way up. So by the time they get into working, they might not even have to go over to the shop. Then the whole insurance thing will be totally nil. It'll all be here. So
It seems like when we're setting up these CTE programs, like we should, to me, the ultimate goal is to have some kind of a certification that goes with it whenever we're offering something like this.
that's where that multi-tier diploma that we've been talking about is where you have your basic state of Idaho diploma, you have your honors diploma, then you have CT. CT diploma it's a workforce readiness CT diploma that if you complete all of your academic work from the state of Idaho and you create a pathway, then you get that CT diploma. That's a sticker you can put right on your diploma. But our overall incentive is to get as many certifications that you can. Because these kids, they might not want to go to college, which is just fine. What we're doing is trying to put out the best widgets. So the OSHA 10 is the first one we start with for certification. Then you're looking at all the I think it's ASEs that they can do. We had kids do with the brake. They're certified in brake inspection,
Okay, that's
air conditioning, oil changing, right? And some of them with some more advanced stuff. But then they go right out in. We have 2 kids that are going to WyoTech for diesel. And so it leads to them if they want to go to post-secondary, or they go right out and start working for Ben and help them out there. So
Yeah, and I guess what kind of brings that to mind is like today was the awards assembly, and PERTA sent up a bunch of certificates, and there's a bunch of kids were awarded for Microsoft PowerPoint,
Yeah.
Word, and they're working towards this business administrative
Yes.
certificate. Like, those are the kind of things we want to get them on the path to.
Yes. And next year is going to be the first time that we will have a completer from Garden Valley that we'll have down at our completer ceremony in Emmett. And then they'll be able to come down. We just had it on Monday. We had 77 completers, 57 graduates with the diploma, 20 of them with 2 pathways. And our chef and some of the Culinary 2 kids, they cooked up tri-tip, Caesar salad, chicken parmesan. They do all the desserts. And then the parents and the graduate get to go there, and then the teachers and the staff were serving the kids. There was 230 people there. It was pretty impressive. And that's kind of the foresight that I'd like to see. Except you're going to have the ag people doing it, because they can actually cook and bring it from the field. They can
Yeah.
cradle to grave.
Farm to field.
So,
Yep. Yeah. Farm to table.
Farm to table.
yes.
Whatever.
Okay, based on the discussion, is there any motions on this?
Do we need a motion to hire Ben?
I think we
Or is
need a
that
motion
too
to
Far
something.
ahead.
Well,
to approve those.
To
CTEs.
seems like there were some
for-
pretty big questions lingering there. Like, maybe we should check into
I
those
mean, we're
things
not that
before we
close
make
yet
it.
anyway, so.
Yeah.
We'll wait
we
until
can-
Ben feels comfortable with it. Next week, or next month is when all the contracts are doing, so maybe we just table it until next month.
Can you work with Ben since
Yeah,
you're kind
yeah,
of the point person and kind of come back with the full report that you need us to approve? Okay.
I wouldn't mind having Ben come in here and talk to us about it.
Yeah.
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't know what to do with that. Table?
Discussion occurs.
Oh, it's just discussion, did occur. Okay. Okay, next item, approved 2024-25 classified employees. I looked the entire list over, and it seems to me, again, this is another one of those things, in my opinion, that we're getting a list of people dropped on us, and it really should be the administrators who should be talking to these people and then making their recommendations, right? That's the way I look at it. Any disagreement here?
No, I agree, some kind of a performance evaluation or something more than a list of just names.
Yeah, because there's just a whole bunch of names, right? So
Based on,
I think we kick this back to the administrators and let them reassess and come back to us with something different.
I'd be fine with that.
What does that look like? Because what was done here is what we've done previous Mays. It's the employees that are wanting to come back next school year. And HR puts together, in this case, HR, usually admin puts together a list of people that would be recommended for the
Okay.
following year.
Okay, but
And
then,
this is that.
was there any input from these guys?
Yeah, that's-
Was there any input from Pat?
I haven't had any.
Okay, so
I've
see, I
had
don't feel
emails.
comfortable approving a list of people. Steve, was there any input from you on that list of classifieds that's going to be rehired? Did you talk to any of these people, or?
No, I mean, we've had some conversations, but we haven't had a formal conversation that I can give you enough information to go one way or another.
Okay, so again, you guys pipe up if you want on this, but this is another one of those things that I don't feel comfortable with and never have since I've been on this board. That we just get a list of names dropped on the board and the board says, oh, we have to approve this. Right? I've been there already. It's not fun. So I think we kick it back to the administrators and send it back to the board with, I guess, recommendations or not recommendations, I guess is the way I would put it. Fair?
Absolutely fair for on yes,
Okay.
Is there any kind of performance evaluation that you do on that?
Correct.
That list?
Yes.
We'll have that.
correct.
He was asking if he was gonna like do a performance evaluation and be able to recommend or not recommend based on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Approve Henrietta Penrod Scholarship Selection Committee distribution of 5 scholarships. I think Ken was involved in this, wasn't he? Were you involved in this?
No, I was brought in on this. Janice Castillo brought me in on the Henrietta Penrod Scholarship Selection Committee.
Yeah.
And I apologize, I didn't print it out. I can read it to you. I have it in the board packet. One of the processes that I think we got out of that was at track was the committee issued 5, but that number of how many are issued is supposed to be approved by the board.
Okay.
So
So it's
unfortunately,
not
they've
who we're approving the
How
number.
many?
the number.
how many are issued. My understanding is that there's a lump sum in a bank that's accruing interest, and we try to stay under that annual interest when issuing those. And then based on who applies, right, we try, and they got it down to 5, they would like to give 5. And they just need the board to approve issuing 5 scholarships from this account. So I apologize if that was out of order,
Yep.
but we'll get better at that next year.
So I was on that committee.
Oh, you were the one.
Elections, yeah. We went through their qualifications, ones that were qualified, put them forward to get their scholarship.
Is there at least 5 qualified?
There was.
Okay, so based on that discussion and the input from Ms. Shanahan here, is there any motions on that?
You want to make a motion, please?
No, go ahead.
You know about it. So the motion would be to approve the number.
I think that's the way that
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the Henrietta Penrod Scholarship Selection Committee's distribution of 5 scholarships.
Okay, I have a motion, and I need a second.
I'll second that.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
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 That was all.
It's a double I.
There's a double I in there. Okay, moving on to old business. Amended policy 2700P, high school graduation requirement procedures from Michelle Ogle. I know that Michelle did update this, and Ken and Michelle have been working a little bit together on this, so I appreciate her hard work and yours on this, Steve, of getting this finalized for us. Yeah, come on up, Steve, if you want to say something.
I just want to make sure the credit goes to where it belongs. That this was actually originally initiated by Stephanie Moore. She's the one that, in her
Oh.
experience, that she's the one that really brought to the forefront. And so we've completed the work that she started.
Excellent, thanks for that information.
So I did still have one question on this, and I mean, Michelle sent it out, and it did address most of my questions. I guess the one thing that was remaining was the part where if a student retakes a class, they can't remove the original grade from their transcript, but do we want them to be able to not count that original grade in their GPA? And I know, I think, you looked into that, and it was based
It has
based off
nothing
of
to
the
do with
existing
graduation pathways. You're talking about a registrar transcript question. And it's not policy, it's just practice, and it's across the state. So I called a
It
couple
is across the
other,
state.
I called a couple other places. And if a credit is attempted at our school, you get a grade, withdrawal, credit, right? Does that make sense? Am I saying this right? Okay. Attempted. It still holds. You can take another one and pass it, right? But that holds, that 1.0 that you may have gotten still holds and goes towards your GPA.
Okay.
It's attempted credits.
Okay.
But you have the ability to retake or do credit recovery depending on the class. So you have that ability. It doesn't necessarily hinder you from graduating depending on the class. But certain ones do, right? Like not hinder graduating, but just you would have to retake it, like English 9. If you don't pass English 9, you need to retake it.
I didn't know if that was a school policy or if that was a
No.
state. I get that is the way it is.
Yeah.
So when you said it's not a requirement, you said it's practice. It's general practice, right? So our school
It's
could
like
be
best
different.
practices. If you want it to be
I
different.
don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I just.
It's
Trying to
a really
break
big,
if they
deep pool
retake a
messing with
class, maybe it's
transcripts.
second
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
Mhm.
So in a sense, what you're saying then is if you get a 1.0 and then you get a 4.0, they would kind of
Average it out.
They average it
negate
out.
each other, right?
Okay. I did have one other question though. So on the new requirements, the PE credit is crossed out. So does that mean PE is not required in the school?
It's not required in the state of Iowa,
So
not for high school credit.
should we, just throwing it out there, should our board consider maybe not having a PE teacher and replace that position with shop or an ag position since we're trying to get CTE going?
Well, the elementary kids do PE. They
Would
need-
it require
Does it require
PE
a certified PE?
What's that?
They don't get certified.
elementary?
Well, and then PE also does health, right, Steve? Yeah.
But-
So there's
Science
like
teacher
more
can also
hats
cover
that that
health.
person wears. I just wanted to bring that into the conversation.
No, good, because I'm,
Yeah.
Your science teacher can also cover health,
Yeah.
right? So they can have a small section of health and cover that. Your elementary teachers, K through 8, are certified in everything. So, you know, even though we don't like to put all that burden on them, like to have art teachers and PEs and that, but it used to be when we weren't teaching so much stuff, is they actually took kids out and started, you know, playing kickball and whatnot.
Yes.
Nowadays, we have a PE teacher. So can you get rid of one? Yes. I have pros and cons on both sides, probably, and Steve probably does too.
If you're asking about a PE teacher, I do believe, in my opinion, that I do have a PE teacher for the sake of health and also the elementary as well. I think it's a well-rounded education, and especially the younger kids are needing of that. So I would actually continue to push for that at this point in time.
I can see the need for the younger kids. I guess the older ones, like junior high through high school, I see so many sports that's offered through the school that I don't really see that they're missing activities. And I feel like we're all trying to fit in some CTE stuff or ag and get this program launched, and that might have been an opportunity to do that without extra cost for a person. I see our shop facility, it's pretty much ready to go if we had a body to teach kids. So
I think the amounts are great. The biggest problem that we have right now is to capture the teacher that fits the certifications to make sure that we can do this. It's hard to get teachers in the first place, but to have them certified in multiple areas is going to be a really unique unicorn that is just, but if we can do it, I think that the opportunities are there to be created with the schedules without question for sure.
My understanding, I might be wrong, but the PE teachers don't need to be a certified teacher.
So they do.
You do.
The current teacher that we have is K-12 certified, and went through a really good program. That was,
And anybody who does play sports can get a PE credit out of that, one time.
right. So if we had an FTE for the PE teacher, right? Could it be half? Could it be split with the PE for the elementary and then the other half be for a shop teacher? Or not just shop, ag, any of it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
if you, yeah, it's if you have the right medical criteria for
Should
that.
it be 2 separate people that are working half time?
You could, yeah, certainly. I think the incentive would be much lower just because if they're doing half.
Yeah.
then it might not be attractive, but you can certainly do that.
Something to offer up, but yeah.
It's
And I
something
would-
to think about.
I would guess the PE teacher could help the AD with a lot of the AD's duties as well, too, right? Those kind of go hand in hand as well. So I can see a value in a PE
So we
position
need
as
to
well.
replace PE
For a
teacher
number of
right
different
now.
ways.
Yeah.
Because that's how much is number of guys.
Well, yeah, that was part of the question is whether we did need to replace the PE teacher right now. It sounds like it is required for the younger.
Correct, and then just an update on that, well, 2 updates if you would like. I know that this is tabled for future, but the elementary teacher, we had at the time 1 applicant, and there were 3 teachers and 1 parent, and it was a unanimous decision to recommend this individual for the elementary position.
There was one applicant.
There was 1 applicant at the time, and I believe that we've only seen 1 applicant altogether for elementary positions. That's the official, that's the district office. And she has a master's in elementary education, and she does have experience, so she came fully recommended. It was a unanimous recommendation. And then going to PE, we did, an interview committee was formed for the PE position, and it was interviewed yesterday. And right now, we only have 1 candidate for the PE position as well. Right, so the process that we're in right now is just vetting the process of vetting the information, especially the certification and the credit. So that's where we're at right now. Thank you, Dan.
Going back to that, George, I did feel confident in those folks that I was looking at their
Right, yeah.
applications.
So we got to get back on that. We did finally approve it.
Yes.
That was a long discussion. Okay, so yeah, we can double back to the
Before we go back there, I just real quick on the regular diploma, it's got senior project crossed out. But it says Idaho state minimum is 46 credits plus senior project.
Right, that was kind of a gray
It's not
area.
considered credit. It's just basically you have to do that in order to be a graduate. It's a pass-fail type. Some people initiate it into a class, 4 credits, some of them don't. Same thing as personal finance. You have to check the box just to make sure it's done, but it's not a requirement as a class.
Yeah, and I think the criteria is fairly loose on that, right? Pat?
On the personal finance, senior project's been around for a long time.
But the criteria for senior project is pretty broad.
Yeah, there's a writing component of presentation. And so, we could even you get an automotive person and they want to do their senior project on, they rebuilt 350. The writing part could have been all the different parts that they had to do, the research they did, and what the cost was, and the presentation is the engine, right? So it gives them something special to show off.
I wonder if it'd help the kids out to have a list of possibilities that they could choose from. And they could have other ones that aren't on the list, but just some people have thrown out some pretty creative ideas, I think, like a CDL license. I think that'd be a great thing that would carry with the kid for their life, skills like that they could do as a senior project, do some extra study. So that one, or maybe EMT certification.
That's
There's
all good
lots.
stuff, yeah. Okay, so with that discussion in mind, do I have a motion on this? We're still on the amended policy. Right.
Yeah, I don't call it changing. We just clarified some stuff.
Yeah, I
right?
know, well, we still have to make a motion to approve this, right?
Right, but I don't think we need to make a motion with any changes.
No, I don't think there's any changes, but we have to approve.
We have
the-
to approve that it got amended.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we approve the amended policy number 2700P, high school graduation requirements procedure.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I will second.
Okay, a motion and a second, all in favor?
I,
Aye. We have feeling ayes again. Okay, next one is our date for our June workshop with Mr. David Brinkman. Everybody got their calendars?
I'm gonna read just a text message from him.
Yeah.
That says when he's ready. He would like for you guys to pick 3 days, some 3 dates that would work for you guys in the month of June. He does have a caveat, the 13th through the 17th are stuck and the 26th isn't available. He would like to still make a training work.
Is he still okay with weekends? Does he have a problem with Saturdays? Or you text me
Should
right
be
now?
around. Yeah. Yeah, I got that.
I don't know about you guys, but Saturdays are better for me. Or during the middle of the week, it's pretty hard.
I'm fine with Saturday.
It's okay anytime.
I've got 2 Saturdays that will work. Maybe 3, but I've got 2.
Okay, and the 15th is good with me.
That's what he said's not good.
He said if you choose Saturdays, they're easy.
Oh, it's 15th or 17th. You said it's
15th
not good, right?
The
won't work
16th
for
through the
me.
17th.
Okay.
8th works for me, the 22nd.
I honestly don't have any idea what works for me. I have to look at my calendar.
I can do the 8th.
I can
I
do,
know I have some work travel that
How
month.
about the 8th?
I can do the 8th. I can't do the 22nd or 29th or the 15th.
Okay, how about the 8th? We're narrowing it down.
8th
Right?
works for
As
me.
long as I get it on my calendar before.
Okay, something else gets on there?
I'm gonna text you.
How about the 8th? See if that 8th works for him.
I'll zoom in if you need me.
Okay.
Oh, stop.
Is it possible for us to just send our dates that were available to Janelle, the one that works for everybody?
I don't dare.
I'm only available on the 8th.
Do we have to do this in the beginning?
I mean, we don't actually have to, but if we can,
If we can get it hemmed in, it's always good because we're always
because
there. to
he's
talk
gonna
about
get
it.
busy too.
I would really like to. I mean, I can get back to you tomorrow. But I would like to do it live if I can. it helped me a lot, his last training, so.
Okay, well, let's tentatively say the 8th.
Okay.
Do we want to come up with a second date? Maybe not on a Saturday during the month that we can present and it's.
Saturdays are probably gonna work for me no matter what, because I'm usually back on Saturdays. I know the, next Wednesday, I've got Wednesday to Wednesday, so that's the first few days of June. But I'm typically home on weekends.
He says the 8th works.
Shoot.
And how long do you normally go? So I mean, could we do it in an evening?
It's
or
like-
hours a day? A day.
We did last one at 10 in the morning, didn't we?
I think about 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours.
Like
If we don't add things on,
10
like,
to 2.
like stuff to get approved or executive session, if you just hunker in, the training can be an hour. It's one little bit, but it's better than nothing. In this case, you're having him drive down here, so you're gonna want probably a 3 to 4 hour chunk, right?
Yeah, Saturdays are fine for me, but also any evening. I just can't do it in a day, except Friday through during the
Okay,
day.
looks like the 8th was okay.
Do you guys want morning, midday, afternoon? I feel like early morning's not good for him because he's driving.
Yeah, he said 10 works.
10?
10 works for him. he said.
Yeah,
Works for me.
He doesn't drive the whole way down. He's coming from Bonner.
Sometimes
There's no way
he
he
does.
can do that. Even if it's
He
10,
stops
Sometimes
somewhere,
takes off
his
at
daughter
3 in the
was-
morning.
3 in the morning. He stopped in Riggins or something.
He stops in Brigham most of the time.
Yeah. So how long does it take to get from Riggins? 3 hours from?
Three
Riggins?
and a half hours.
3.5.
Yeah.
Keep it at 10?
10? 8
If
at
he's
10?
late, we
Unless
won't
you're in a
hold
Corvette,
it.
it's 2.
What's that?
If you're in a Corvette, it's 2. Usually 3 and a half.
Unless you have to stop for the red lights behind you.
Yeah, good point.
Okay, so I'm going to bring us back to the discussion on the hiring the elementary teacher, athletic director / transportation director, and parapro. Remember, we kind of passed up on that because we wanted some time to think about it. So these were the 3 recommendations. Just pass those along.
Yeah, the only one I don't know is the elementary.
Me too.
And so as long as
Somebody
somebody
can
did.
vouch. Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
Well, there was that. There was the rubric where they scored for. and
I didn't see that.
I didn't see another.
I don't know.
Well, there's 2 openings, right?
Just 3.
3?
There's already 3.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
she
I think-
looked very good to me, so I don't want to lose somebody by holding things up. But I also do want to improve our process in the future.
I added, the hiring packet for the one that was suggested here, because that was suggested at one time, which I liked. I really like that, because you guys can really look through it.
Yeah.
I apologize if you mixed everything.
Yeah.
You're wanting, you would like the committee to present, or a committee
somebody from
member
the
present that can walk
Yeah.
you through the process, how many applicants?
Yeah.
And then what made this applicant stand out, like just a presentation like that. We can do that.
Okay.
How do you guys want to proceed today?
these 3, I feel good.
Yep.
I can make a motion. I make a motion that we approve that we hire the elementary teacher and athletic director / transportation director and
We're
as
supposed to
listed.
name names on this.
I am supposed to name?
We're
Please
supposed
do.
to name names.
Okay. The elementary teacher would be Shelby Wood, the director / transportation director, Ryan Williams, and the paraprofessional, Melissa Swell.
Okay, I have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Ken second. And everybody eyed.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, with that, folks, we have some unfinished business with executive session, but other than that, there will be no motions after that. Yes.
Administrator.
Oh.
Or a vice principal.
I'm not gonna hear you.
The hiring.
Oh.
Use for the teachers.
Portion. Some, yeah.
We do have to have another motion to go back to executive session.
I can. I'll make a motion to go into executive session under Idaho Code 74-206 subsection A, B, E, and F. Personnel, student issues, and pending litigation.
Okay, motion?
Roll call,
Roll call
Kylie
vote.
Peters, aye.
Clay Tucker,
Ken Donald, aye.
Eric Lou, George Simpson, aye. I asked for a second. Oh, I'm sorry. Who was seconded that?
I second the motion.
Thank you, I apologize.
Kylie Peters, aye. Way to go.
What is your husband doing on June, the next board meeting?
Probably nothing. So can you see? Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Good night.
Let's have that. Yes, let's have that.
I was like, retract.
I'll let him know that.
She asked me.
I don't think I'm gonna be at the next thing, so I told her, he's on vacation. No, seriously.
All right.
We're actually going.
Yeah.